Honey, the stress of it all. The stress of it all. Now, if you feel like you're about to get in trouble and you just want to delay the time, again, I'm not advocating for that because that is working the system, but I've seen it work. Let me just put it to you. I'm going to be honest with you. I have seen it work to an employee's advantage. Even though I know that employees sucked and they should have been fired a long time ago, the people you work for, a lot of times, they do not care. And so sometimes the only way to maintain your sanity before you truly need some mental health assistance is to pursue the route where you utilize your physician to take some time off. So an article came out yesterday through SHRM, which is the Society for Human Resources Management. I can never just say it all together. And it's talking about how a lot of y'all are anxious. I'm not gonna say y'all, I'm a person too. A lot of us are anxious and we are suffering from anxiety. And as of today, it is the #1 issue that our employees are facing. It used to not even be in the top 5 back in 2017, but now it is #1. And between 2022 and 2023, the percentage increase in employees having to take mental health related leaves went up by 33%, which is kind of crazy, right? So I was thinking about that. I was like, well, why would it have gone up 33% between 2022 2023? We know what happened in 2020. You know, we ain't gonna say the word because YouTube doesn't like it. Do you wear a mask? Do you not wear a mask? Do you go in the office? Do you not go in the office? And tied into that is politics. You got people arguing about stuff like that in the workplace, even within their own homes. People get stressed, right? People are losing their jobs. People are being maybe not just flat out losing their jobs, but having to take pay cuts. I'm one of those people. I went through a pay cut. There was a lot that has happened in the past several years. You've got the social injustices happening. When you just add all of those things together, people went through a lot. You got the rising cost of healthcare all mixed up in that. And it's just kind of like, where do you catch the break? Because these companies, especially 2022 to 2023, they're like, okay, all that's over. Now bring y'all asses back in this office. Some of us are like, nah, I'm out, right? Others of us, we don't really have a choice, but we're burnt out. We're tired. It's just too much going on. So I'm not surprised that those numbers went up by 33%. That's a huge percentage to go up for a very specific reason. Now, in the article, they explained that they analyzed 300,000 US-based employees. So it's important that you know it's only about the US. I don't know what's going on anywhere else. And it was a company that's a mental health provider called ComPsych. I've never heard of them. It's one of those companies that the employer will outsource you to if you need help. So think of like BetterHelp. So I assume it's like BetterHelp. We get all those ads for BetterHelp. ComPsych, I think it's specifically for those types of issues. And they're saying that 24% of the employees who reach out to them in general are specifically reaching out for anxiety. So that makes anxiety #1. That means anxiety beat out depression, stress, relationship issues, addiction, grief, and just overall family issues and support. Anxiety is #1. Again, I'm not surprised. I know several people who take anxiety medications. I know people who suffer from issues where they are experiencing the physical outcomes of what happens, or the physical symptoms of when you have a lot of anxiety, whether it's the weight gain, you know, that cortisol, especially us as women, that midsection, that cortisol makes you gain weight. I always call it witching hour. If you tend to get up at like 3 a.m., multiple nights, which that is common between myself, my group of friends, we talk about that all the time, but it's called witching hour. You're getting up at that time because that's when your cortisol spikes, right? Anxiety just does a lot of things that are not good to your body. So I wanted to get into this a little bit to start some discussion in the comments, essentially. So like I said, 33% rise over just a year, that's insane. Now, what I want to say about that 33%, and y'all may agree, you may not. I know for a fact as a 10-year HR professional that at least a small percentage, I can't put like a 1 or 2%, I cannot put a real number on it, but at least a small percentage of that 33% is due to people learning how to use the system to their benefit now. And by that, I mean some people, yes, a large portion of that 33% are experiencing real mental health issues, crises, having to deal with their own true anxiety. Some of those people, that again 1 to 2%, I'm just making that number up, have learned that if you get put on a PIP, let's say a performance improvement plan, what I should say is if you think you're about to get put on a performance improvement plan, if you think you're about to get terminated, if you think someone's about to throw you under the bus for something after effing up some project work, you can start going to see your physician or talking to a therapist, going to a psychiatrist saying you have issues, maybe get a little prescription for a little pill to take the edge off. Whether or not you take it or not, that's on you. But you can then build the case to then have your physician say, hey, you're going through a lot. Your behavior is a little off. I hear you. You need to take some time off from work. And some physicians out there are easier than others to just say, hey, doc, I need to take some time off. I truly believe that a small percentage, again, that 1 to 2%, I'm just making the number up, that 33% rise comes from some of that. And it's because people are burned out, yes, but also because people are trying to avoid consequences of maybe poor work performance, or they're getting into it with their managers a lot, or they're getting into it with their team. Or like I mentioned, they effed up something at work and now they're like, oh my gosh, I know I'm gonna get in trouble, right? It sounds like I'm making that up, but I know this happens for a fact because, again, I'm a 10-year HR professional. I've seen the paperwork. I've talked to people. I know what that looks like. Now, I haven't done it myself. Have I taken some time off of work before? I have. Did I have a terrible manager at the time? I did, but I also had a real reason to take that time off because he was going to drive me up a wall. Also, my father was diagnosed with dementia. These people don't care. The people you work for, a lot of times, they do not care. And so sometimes the only way to maintain your sanity before you truly need some mental health assistance is to pursue the route where you utilize your physician to take some time off. And again, 10-year HR physician, 10-year HR professional, I've seen it done. I know people personally who have gone this route, and it worked out very well for them because during that time, your employer cannot really bother you and their hands are kind of bound with what they can do during that time. So let's say, let me put it to you like this. Let's say you have a feeling like your manager has issues with you or is gunning for you just because of little things they've said in emails or whatever. You don't know if they've been talking to HR yet or not because you haven't formally been written up, or you haven't formally been reprimanded or given a warning or placed on a PIP. You don't know what they've been saying to HR. And I know the common thing I keep seeing online is HR is not your friend. HR is not your friend. I'm not paid to be your friend, to be honest with you. None of us are paid to be your friend. We're paid to do our jobs. So no, we're not your friend. But since a lot of you don't want to go talk to HR and you want to avoid us, we can't put anything in place to sort of protect you on your end. So then you're feeling on edge. So yeah, your only route is going to have to be to beat us all to the punch and go to your doctor and get some paperwork and take some time off. That'll delay things. Now, that doesn't mean that when you come back off of that leave, we can't put you on a PIP, or we can't write you up, or even that we can't terminate you, because we can. Now, if you have a good legal team at your company, they will kind of put a buffer in there. I'm not going to get too deep into the buffers because the buffer depends on the state. Some states have regulations on how long after a protected leave, which your mental health leave may or may not be protected in your state, but how long after a leave of a particular type should we wait to have any kind of adverse action against you as an employee? But please know, things can still happen. You can still be written up. You can still be terminated. You can still be placed on a PIP because your anxiety and your workplace performance or your actions, if you cussed out Sally in the meeting and threw a bottle at her head, that has nothing to do with your mental health related leave unless you put us on notice before you threw the bottle. And to just kind of explain that a little bit more, you don't get to throw the bottle at Sally during the meeting and cuss her from top to bottom, and then we call you into the office, and then you go and say, oh, well, you know what? I went and talked to my doctor about me throwing that bottle, and he says I have anxiety. Or even, hey, this person, let's take it a step further. Let's say this person has like a true medical condition, which anxiety is a condition. But like, let's say someone's bipolar or something like that. That's a little different because that's actually on the list of things that I think are considered disabilities. They just updated that list this year, and I should have it memorized, but I don't. It's a long list. But you can't just go to the physician after you threw the bottle at Sally's head and be like, well, I have anxiety, so in real life, I can't really get in trouble for this. Yes, you can. Yes, you can, because you didn't get ahead of the curve. Now, I'm not advocating for anybody to go start a paper trail and talk to their doctor and get time off of work for a mental health related reason. But there are some people who are close to the edge who may need to take some time. Those of you who are in that place, yes, go ahead and do it. Now, if you feel like you're about to get in trouble and you just want to delay the time, again, I'm not advocating for that because that is working the system, but I've seen it work. Let me just put it to you. I'm going to be honest with you. I have seen it work to an employee's advantage. Even though I know that employee sucked and they should have been fired a long time ago, their manager dropped the ball. The manager never gave me anything concrete to be like, hey, this person is effing up these presentations at customer sites. We're missing out on these sales because this person's doing X, Y, Z. They're showing up tipsy. They're doing this. They're not using the tools properly. They're not showing up to work on time. If you're not going to HR, and that's on both ends, the employee or the manager, then both of y'all are going to have to figure it out, or you leave it up to HR to figure it out. Then we have the investigations. Then we got to go ask questions. Then we got to start keeping our own stuff. We have other stuff to do. I'm going to be honest with you. Unless your company has a team of people who are specifically charged with doing investigations, you are disrupting my day. Okay. Now, in my current position, I don't deal with any of that. I don't have to deal with that because I left that life behind and now I work in compliance. I just want to do the paperwork. Now I have to do an occasional digging into things with the legal team just because of the items that pop up in compliance, and sometimes they have to come across my desk, and now I got to talk to people, but that's not the normal course of my day like it used to be. I had to leave y'all alone. Y'all were driving me crazy, okay? So I just want to be clear again, because some of y'all don't watch the whole video. I'm not advocating for you to go take a mental health related leave, but there are some of you that could benefit from taking some time away with a doctor's sign off. Just to be clear, do not be the person who says, oh, I'm on a medical leave. And then I say, well, okay, I need your paperwork, whether it's your FMLA paperwork, or maybe you can't be covered under FMLA yet because you haven't worked enough hours, but you need to take some sort of medical leave anyway. You got to fill out the paperwork. And that means you have to put that physician's information. That means they have to sign the form. You have to turn it back in. So no, I'm not your friend, but I am here to do a job. And if you don't give me the said paperwork, then I can't really classify it as a medical leave or a mental health related leave. You can't just tell me, oh, well, I wasn't feeling well and I've been anxious, so I didn't come to work. That's not gonna cut it. You gotta do the paperwork. You gotta take the steps. And that's where people fail, typically. And then that's where people want to come blame HR and be like, HR didn't help me do this. Oh, no. I guarantee you, we gave you the paperwork. We gave you the policy information. We gave you whatever website, phone number to call. you didn't do it. So no, it's not approved and you're not protected. Just to be clear, I like to give you all as much information as possible on both sides, right? So going back to what's in this article, there are a couple things that stuck out to me. So we already know that the numbers went up by 33% in 2023 from the 2022 numbers, and I gave you some reasons on why I think that happens. Between 2017 and 2023, it's a 300% difference for mental health leaves. Now, 2017 was a while ago. You know, it's some years ago. Your girl was wearing 2 pieces with no shame back in 2017. I mean, I still do it with no shame now because it is what it is. I live in reality, right? The inflation has gone up, but our income hasn't kept up. And not even just inflation, the cost of things has gone up. I went into Whole Foods today. I was feeling myself. I was trying to go get one of those meal kits. I don't know if y'all have seen it. It's like a family kit. I learned about it on Instagram, and I tried to go get the salmon one because I don't eat chicken. Salmon is all gone. They got 3 different kinds of chicken, but they have salmon. I mean, they have 3 different kinds of chicken, but they didn't have the salmon. But the point is the prices. Now, Whole Foods in general is just expensive, but the prices of simple things, even at other grocery stores, has gone up tremendously. We ain't gonna talk about the eggs. We ain't gonna talk about the milk. But just in general, toilet tissue, paper towels. People are anxious, especially those of you with families. Now, me, I don't do the children. I don't have children, but I do have my dad who I take care of. And prices of everything have gone up. Just put it like that. So 300%. That is a surge, right? Now, here's what really stuck out to me. And I'm gonna get in on this too. Female employees and younger workers in particular have driven the surge. In 2023, 69% of the mental health related leaves of absence were taken by women. 69%. And then of those, 33% were taken by millennial women, which I think technically I'm a millennial, followed by Generation X, who accounted for 30% of mental health related leaves. So let's talk about this. 69% of the mental health related leaves were taken by women. I have some thoughts on that. It could be for various reasons, but there are multiple explanations for why this could be the case, right? Now, I don't know what the ethnicities of these particular women were. I don't know, when they say millennial, we have a general age range, but let's talk about it. Why would women take these mental health related leaves? I know personally when I took my leave, it's because I was becoming a caregiver. I had no support through my employer at the time, directly through my manager, and I was having to figure things out. I had to break the lease on my studio apartment in Buckhead. I was living my, little meager life in my little studio, and I had to look for a home at a drop of a dime. I had to move back home to my family home while I was looking for a home of my own. While I was already underpaid, I was the lowest paid person at my company. I know this because I work in HR. But for my position, I already know I was extremely underpaid. I had the education, the work experience. I worked crazy hours. I mean, I was away in Greece for a week and I had my laptop out on a yacht. Well, I'm out here, sipping, but I'm over here trying to do work. I was on a trip in Cuba and I'm getting phone calls. And I'm like, why are you calling me? Stop calling me. You have to pay for this bill when I get back. I had no support through that process. I had to figure it out. I didn't even take a long time off. I might have done a week or 2 because during that time, my dad had I can't remember if he had a stroke. Something happened where he ended up in the emergency room. I still showed up to work. I had my laptop in the hospital by his bed doing work because I was so on edge about my own job stability, even though I was a team of 1 for most of that time. And then I became a team of 2. Then at a certain point, became a team of 2.5 because that third person was part-time for a long time. I was losing it, but I was holding it together because, like we always say, Black women, we be going through it sometimes. Black men, y'all do too. All people go through it sometimes. But there is a particular stress that is placed on I will say on Black women, Black men, minorities in general, I will say minorities in general, especially if you work in tech, and I've been working in tech for quite some time. The amount of immense stress that I was holding in, my hair was coming out, and I'm going to be real with you. I had shingles. Now, mind you, I was only 30. I might not even have hit 30 yet. I had a whole shingles situation happen. And when I went to my dermatologist, I'm like, well, what kind of rash is this? You know, I already have sensitive skin. So I was just thinking that it was due to some weirdness and I had like an eczema outbreak or something like that. No, your girl had the shingles. It went on my side. Like, it was crazy. And I remember she brought a student in there into the room, and he had his little notepad. Well, it was like an iPad, not a notepad. And he was like, how old are you? And I was like, 30 or whatever I was. I was somewhere between 30 and 33. Too damn young to be having shingles, put it like that. And he was like, this is an interesting case. Like, and they're asking me, like, can this other student come in? And I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Am I about to die? Like, I've seen shingles before because I worked in healthcare before I made the switch over. Well, not in healthcare, but I worked for healthcare organizations before I switched over to tech. So I've seen shingles, but it was always on like really, really old people, like really old people who were in wheelchairs or were in nursing homes and stuff like that. I had that shenanigans. And let me tell you, you don't want it, okay? You do not want it. And my doctor asked me, and so did the students. They were like, well, let's talk about what's going on in your life right now. Because shingles, if you've had the chicken pox, then the shingles virus is already in you. It's the same thing as the chicken pox, really. And so it's there, but it lays essentially dormant until your later years. And then now they have that vaccine where you're supposed to get it, I think, at age 50 because they don't want people to get shingles. Shingles is awful. Just to be clear, it is awful. And it is what can make it pop up like how it did with me is the immense stress, the anxiety, the lack of sleep, the worry. All of those things will make you sick. So yeah, they were like, well, what's going on? I was like, I don't know. I'm just like, I'm living regular life. And I remember it was right before Christmas time. I was like, I don't know. And they're like, are you stressed? I was like, isn't everybody? Like, they were like, no, you've got to be going through something else. What's going on in your life? And I said, well, I mean, what do you mean? Like, what do you want to know? I said, well, I'm looking for a house. And they're like, okay, how's that going? You know, it's going. I'm trying to find something. I wasn't making great money. My dad was sick, so he was with me in my studio apartment at the moment before we went back to the family home. And I might have listed out one or two other things like about work. And they were like, girl, you need to sit your ass down. That's basically what they said. And they explained to me that that's what caused that shingles outbreak is you have to find ways to control your stress. I didn't get on any medication to manage my stress and anxiety or anything. I just had to figure out and make the choice that day. You got to get your shit together. You cannot be more worried about this job than you are about your own health or about your father's health. And so it was a very humbling moment because again, I just didn't think it was possible for that to even happen. And so all of that to say, but that 69% of cases being women, a lot of times it's for stuff like that, right? Like we hold our stress in sometimes a different way than men do. Not that men don't have the same stress, because y'all, I don't want to be a man, not one bit, because y'all have a lot going on too. But for women and with women's bodies, you got to think about it. Like I was single and young, and I had shingles from my stress and anxiety. Think about the women with children, the women with husbands, the women who are caretakers to their family members. Same thing could be with the men, but the fact that almost 70% of those cases were women, that shows something, right? And I think a lot of women have issues with dealing with their own personal stressors, right? We ignore it, or we say it's gonna be okay. We gotta do it. We gotta be strong. I'm not strong. I am not. I am weak, And if need be, I will take off work, okay? That's why I tell y'all, use your PTO, go to the doctor more regularly. Like what I'm trying to do now is work out more. I'm eating better. I have lost some weight, which helps tremendously with the stress, the anxiety, all of those things. But we all need to do that. You men too, because the difference with the men is you all, from what I've seen and what employees have told me, you can't feel, or you don't feel like you can just take off work. Self-care days, like, you know, the women on the Instagram and the YouTube, we talk about the soft life and we talk about self-care. Y'all don't do that. Y'all won't even go get a massage. You will wait until you are hobbling or limping before you even go see your physician. And even to my friends to this day, I'll be like, you pay for health insurance. Why won't you use it? Y'all feel weak when it comes to saying you're anxious, or saying you just are having a bad day, or just saying you need some time to yourself. But I'm telling you, you better do it, because the life expectancy overall is higher now. But you men, y'all are holding on to things real crazy these days. Some of you have stay-at-home wives, stay-at-home girlfriends. I would like to be one of those, but I'm not built for that, I don't think. And I don't live that life. I got to work, because who's going to pay the mortgage? It's a level of stress that's different from women in a lot of cases. A lot of you are single parents as well, just like a lot of women are single parents. But you all have to take care of yourselves. Take that time off of work. That work will be back. You are not in the business of saving lives. Most of us aren't anyway. To the physicians and the surgeons, kudos to you. But even if you all need to call out of work, there are backup physicians. There are on-call physicians. Take that sick day. Take that mental health day. And don't take the day off to get stuff done, like take your car in and all of that. Take a day off to do absolutely nothing. You hear me? Take a day off just because it's sunny outside and you looked at the weather next week and it's going to be sunny for 2 days. Take one day off and just enjoy yourself. Go take yourself to lunch. Take yourself to dinner. Stroll through Target, for goodness sake. Do something for your own personal wellness and not for these jobs, okay? Not for the kids. I know y'all have kids. Leave them kids at the house, get a sitter, whatever you need to do to take care of your mental health, because these numbers are alarming. And what is happening is people are having a lot of heart issues. People are having all sorts of physical ailments that stem from anxiety. I know when I'm anxious, my stomach goes crazy. It feels like I want to throw up. And if you feel like that on a regular basis, what that means is your stomach is going through it. Your gut is tied to everything. They say it's our second brain, right? You've got to take care of yourself so that you're not feeling those things. And so just to share some of the other numbers behind the whole anxiety crisis right now, I'm going to call it a crisis. They're saying we are now more likely to just experience overall negative feelings while at work or while doing our work. Even if you work from home is the interesting thing. I'm going to insert that. They didn't say that, or at least I didn't see it in there. But even if you work from home, you're still working. And a lot of times it's hard to detach because everything is right here or right next to you. So 12% more likely to experience stress, 17% more likely to experience burnout, 51% more likely to feel depressed at work. And these numbers are in comparison to pre-panny. So again, that had a major impact. I feel like that sent a lot of this into a downward spiral, right? It started it off. Some people were already on the way there regardless, but that time period in particular sent us in a speed race to the depths of anxiety is what happened to a lot of us, right? So yeah, these numbers are alarming. That I will say. They are alarming, and we got to figure out what to do. And the other thing is a lot of us are living paycheck to paycheck. And they said those are top reasons, paired with the cost of living, for why people are experiencing poor mental health. It was actually cited by 45% of the people. 45% of the people said cost of living and living paycheck to paycheck. And it doesn't even matter if you're a six-figure earner or not. Six-figure earners live paycheck to paycheck too. Yeah, so mental health, mental wellness, I know some people have kind of driven that topic into the ground, but it is really going to be a hot topic this year, especially because this year is an election year. Honey, the stress of it all, the stress of it all. So you just have to keep all of these things in mind, you all. You have to keep yourself top of the list for you, not that job. Now, you want to keep your job, you want to stay employed, but you have to keep yourself and your health at the top of your list because the job is not going to. Keep that in mind. Your HR department's not going to either, I'm going to be honest with you. No, we're not your friend. I don't get paid to be your friend. I am here to guide you through the paperwork and tell you what the process is, but you have to follow through if you need to take a mental health break or mental health leave of absence. And again, and just in case you sped through this entire video and came to the end, I am not telling you all to go tell your doctor you want to take 6 weeks off of work just because you're sick of them people at your job. You need to really think about what the repercussions of that could be. How do they handle your benefits while you're on leave? Will you fall behind on something that's like a project that means a lot to you? If you're going to play that game, you got to play the game right. Don't wait to do it after you've already been written up and you know you're about to get fired anyway. Don't do it then because that's just dumb. You know, you can try. Don't say I told you to do it because I didn't. But if you need to take time off of work for your own mental wellness, by all means do it. Again, don't say I told you to do it, but hopefully this was insightful for you, and that you remember to go put in some PTO after you finish this video, okay? So go look at your calendar, look at what holidays are coming up. Don't tie it next to a holiday necessarily. Take a random Wednesday, take a random Monday just because, and go take care of yourselves, okay? So hope you enjoyed this topic. Leave some comments for me below on what your thoughts are on some of these numbers, the increase. Have you ever taken a mental health leave? Well, okay, you don't need to put that down there if you don't want people to know. But just tell me what your thoughts are on this topic. And if you have any other topics you'd like me to touch on, please do let me know in the comments as well. I will see you all in the next video. Bye.